What a chance this is, what opportunity. Here is the Bulletproof brand, Bulletproof app as well. And you can download it on the App Store right this second, in fact. And while this is all going on, I'm going to connect to my live stream via my MacBook here. And maybe I'll get a comment or two. All right, let's get on to it. So number one, first question there on this agenda. How long do withdrawals last and what symptoms are normal? All right, let me adjust there on my channel. Here we go. All right, fantastic. Loaded up, great. How long do withdrawals last and what symptoms are normal? Okay, withdrawals can last depending on the substance, but usually 1 to 2 weeks. 1 to 2 weeks can have an element of symptoms would be like sweats, shakes, fatigue, appetite suppressants or enhancements, lack of sex drive, lack of pleasure, feeling of emptiness, loneliness, right? These are all symptoms of withdrawals. And yeah, it's quite wild the amount of negative experiences that you might go through. You might go through cravings as well, you might go through urges. Well, these are all very much. So 1 to 2 weeks, and all of those various emotions that I just emphasized there a second ago would all be typical of someone's symptoms that they would experience. All right, nearly there in terms of being fully focused on answering these questions back to back. Again, if you're new here, subscribe. Also, can I hear me here? Subscribe. Yeah. Imagine I was doing that with no speaker. All right, what else? Let's go on to number 2. When should I seek medical help for detox, especially with alcohol or benzodiazepines? When should I seek medical help? When should I get medical help for detox? Well, it's an interesting question with detox. I actually don't deal with any clients that go on detoxes, or I don't deal with any clients when it comes to heroin and they need to get what's that substance that they use? It's completely eluded my mind right now. But when it comes to when you should get help for a detox, I actually enjoy that question. That's an interesting one. I haven't really considered that one for a second. When should you get a detox? Well, you should definitely get a detox as soon as you're coming off the substance. Yeah, definitely get a detox when you're coming off the substance. Don't rush into. Don't just stop with alcohol, and don't just stop with benzodiazepines, because they are devastating. The consequences are really challenging. You can actually die from just stopping those things. So coming to detox is when you're struggling. You're really struggling to come off them. Going to get help in a rehab facility, and I'm thinking of that one with heroin, but I just can't think of it right now. It's eluding my mind. All right, let's go to number 3. What's the difference between sobriety and recovery? Again, by the way, I've seen a good few people just joined. I'm Gary. I go by Gary the Expert. I'm an ex-addict. I'm now an addiction therapist. I help tons of clients on a consistent basis. You can download my app. Bulletproof is the brand, but the Bulletproof Recovery app is literally in the App Store right now. But number 3, what's the difference between sobriety and recovery? Sobriety, I would be in sobriety. Sobriety, I'm over half a decade sober. I've qualified I've passed that time of sobriety. And recovery, early recovery especially, when you're going through like the pink cloud phase, or you're going through withdrawals, recovery is very much you've got stabilizers on and people are helping you. Yeah. Sobriety is when you don't have any stabilizers on and you're flying on your own. All right. So that's an element, and that's a subtle difference between sobriety and recovery. Are you in the chat? I see there's a good handful of people here. Are you on a recovery journey? Have you been an addict before? If so, share your story. Get a comment in. I'd love to hear about it. Sobriety and recovery, big difference. Sobriety is early, long-term. Recovery is early days. All right. Why do I feel worse before I get better and early recover? Well, first of all, you're going to have withdrawals. Number 4, first of all, you're going to have withdrawals that goes. And as you have withdrawals, of course, they're not very nice. Like I mentioned, first question number 1, you're going to have fatigue, lack of appetite, lack of sex drive. You're going to have anhedonia. You're going to be feeling missing out, FOMO. You're going to have all these challenges when it comes to why you feel worse. Then you should hit the pink cloud. And the pink cloud is going to be a positive growth. Right? It should be more motivation, more drive, more positive energy, happiness, motivation, consistency, growth. You can have all of these things when it comes to early recovery. after a period of feeling down. Then you can hit a plateau. And that plateau, you might feel worse again. The plateau is that you're not having all this progress, not having all this growth. And when you're not having all this growth, you feel a little bit less than. So then you've gone up really high, you've succeeded, you're sober, you're grown great, and then a little bit of trauma hit you, a little bit of a hardship hit you. So that sets you back. You might relapse at that phase. That's called the pink cloud. You go up, you hit a plateau. People can either go one way, they keep on the plateau, they keep growing a little bit, or they relapse. Unfortunately, it happens. Number 5, how do I sleep properly again after quitting? Try to get rid of the green screen problems there. How do I sleep properly after quitting? Well, this is a fantastic question because if you take cocaine during the night, you're going to be up till 7 in the morning, give or take, and your sleep routine, you're waking up at 3 p.m., your nose blocked, you're devastated, you're feeling absolutely depressed out of your mind. Well, look, how do you fix your sleep? Over a period of time, your sleep routine is going to get back into natural habits. But if you look at Brian Johnson, for example, the person who's trying to make himself younger, look at the principles are always going to stay the same when it comes to sleep. It's not just in recovery. The principles are always going to stay the same. Sleep, going to bed early at the same time, going to bed at the same time, keeping a cool room, an hour, which I don't do, by the way, this one, an hour of cocaine is one hell of a drug there, the MMA. Do you mean that in a positive way or a negative way, the MMA junk, the unk? So I don't do no screens for 1 hour before bed. I don't do that, even though, again, I should be listening to Brian Johnson a little bit more. Your sleep will come back in on routine with those simple principles, very simple principles that will always be principles for the rest of your life, in recovery or out of recovery. All right, what do I eat? Or both, yeah, it is both. Do you ever use it? Do I know you, by the way, as well? I don't know if you're new around here, or do I know you maybe joined in from do you use it? How frequently do you use coke if you are using the MMA unk? All right, what was number 6? Number 6 is what do I take or what do I eat or take to support my body in early recovery? Again, for such a simple question in terms of they're always going to be good to have good and healthy foods. There's some things that help them before going to sleep. I tell you, cocaine is not one of those things that help before going to sleep. I'll tell you that for sure. What do I eat or take to support my body in early recovery? Tons of water, no doubt about this. Again, these is that question and the question prior about sleep. These aren't about recovery. That's just human habits and nature that's actually useful for you to do. I use that anymore. I'm about to turn 40. I know I work with a lot of clients that are over 40 that use cocaine. In fact, so it's pretty wild to think about that. But well done for not using that anymore. All right, what do I do with boredom when using to fill my evenings? This is an interesting one because I'm from Dublin. Watermelon before going to bed helps you sleep fast. That is I've never heard of that life hack, but I'll tell you, there's a life hack. Eat a watermelon an hour before you go to bed. That's hilarious. All right, boredom. Boredom's an interesting one because I had a client today that is from Monaghan in Ireland, and that's like basically in the middle of nowhere. And with the middle of nowhere, there's nothing to do. So in the evening times, we're on number 8 here. In the evening time, he's got technically nothing to do. So how is he going to do anything? How is he going to do anything? Well, I'm from Dublin, where there's tons and tons and tons of things I do, which is a blessing. He's from Monaghan. So what do you do then? Well, we actually looked up, and I looked up on the call, in the moment, what he could do. Equestrian, something to do with horses. I don't think he had any interest in that. He said he liked bowls. He could do going to a leisureplex where he goes to the sun on the weekend. He could go out to a library. He could rent a book. He could go kayaking and canoeing, and that was actually 1 or 2 things that he was actually interested in doing. So, you know, the boredom is I actually don't even believe, me personally, I don't even believe you can be bored with imagination. I think it's actually impossible for you to be bored, for me to be bored, for anyone to be bored, even with phones and technology these days. You can learn a new skill, start up a business. I've helped multiple people start up businesses when it comes to sauna business, where someone's gone to a portable sauna. They go to the beach every weekend, which is pretty cool. You can set up an app like I've just set up. You can download the app on the App Store, the Bulletproof Recovery app. You can go to you cookie business. Another girl set up a cookie business, a producer. So these are things you can do in the evening time. Number 8. Number 9. How do I handle weekends without slipping? Great question. Why is it a great question? Because the weekends, Friday, Saturday, are the danger days for people that are struggling. And how do you handle those? Well, Just like the last question, having a plan of action. If that's with a friend, you're going to stick with a friend that you trust, a partner that you trust. And let's say you even don't have those things, because I think early weekends, when you're committed, are easy. It's a little bit harder when it's 5 weekends, 10 weekends, 20 weekends down the road, and you're like, man, I haven't been out in the last 10 weekends. I'm bored out of my mind sitting in my room. So, a lot of Q&A sticker. Oh, no, I don't know. Is that for you or is that for me? I don't know. Send in a question if you have a question, by the way. Yeah, so in about 10 weekends or 20 weekends, like that's when you start asking yourself questions of like, what should I do? I actually think playing video games is a solid idea for the weekends, like hanging out with friends online, maybe having a few drinks if you want to have a few drinks at home on your own. And I don't think there's the world's worst advice to do that, rather than going out and losing all your inhibitions and then relapsing. All right, what else can you do on the weekends? This is where I would class a thing called purpose. Purpose needs to come on the agenda. What is purpose? Purpose, when that comes onto the agenda, you're actually going to be much more successful on your recovery journey. Purpose is something that you think is more meaningful, more powerful, more positive, more optimistic than something I think is greater than recovery. That is good for your weekends. So number 9, we're looking at how do you handle weekends without slipping. Excuse me. Purpose, just along with the other the other answers that I've mentioned. Having a purpose, having something that you're dedicated to. If it's a marathon, half marathon, a trike, you want to get better at a skill, you want to do jiu-jitsu, you want to become black belt, you want to improve your skills with taekwondo, you want to learn construction skills, you want to go cycling with your kids, you want to go cycling yourself. Something to do that you find more meaningful than not doing anything at all. Yeah, that's going to be that number 8. Number 10. How do I build new friends if my social life is built around drinking/using? Is that what it says? Using, yeah. Well, again, referencing the last question, starting up new hobbies with some friends. You can use meetup.com. Yeah, very great website for you to get onto a new friend list or to create new friends. What else can you do? You can, so I mean, basically growing your personality. As you're an addict, there's an old saying from someone that was, I don't know, it's not like Rick Ross, but he's a big, massive, I mean, huge, obese American singer who says, like, I've never seen an addict who's recovered who's in a room when he walks into a room. So that means your skills while you're an addict is probably very good in communicating and floating around the room and talking. If it's not, there's nothing wrong with that. But how do you build friends and social life? Go to these occurrences, go to these friends, join a new club, do jiu-jitsu. I am an advocate of that, and I always will be an advocate for that. Go play football, but not a football team where they're all using every weekend after the game. That's not so great. Next after that, go to start up meetup.com. There's pottery clubs, art clubs, chess clubs, there's poker clubs. There's literally an unlimited amount of things that you can do on meetup.com. And if you're not from a popular country, you're going to have to find online friends for a time being. Or you can go to libraries, you can go to leisure plexes, you can go to new clubs in your town that you'll be able to find new friends. So that's number 10. Number 11, do I need to cut off all friends, or can I keep some relationships? When it says some relationships, I would look into that. So this would be, if I was to deal with a client, do I need to cut off all relationships, or do I need to cut off all friends? Some of them, yes. There's no doubt about that. Some of them you're going to have to cut off. There is no doubt about it. If your best friend is using a substance, your best friend, you trust your best friend the most, yeah, he's using a substance. If you love your best friend, he's someone you trust, he's someone you love, he's someone you respect, he's someone you want to spend time with, he's your best friend, and if he's using, you might have to let him go. Unless he stops as well. But sometimes and often, unfortunately, one person wants to stop more than the other person because it's different aspects of life. One person's like actually enjoying addicted. One person feels like the family's losing, like their friends are losing, their mind's losing, the career's losing. The other person's like, I can take it on the weekend. It's fine if I take it on the weekend. And that's where there's a mismatch, and you might have to leave those people. Old best friends, not even old friends. Old friends, like a lot of people in addiction, their friends aren't really friends. They're just there to use them and get substances out of them. Can I keep some of the relationships? Absolutely keep some of the relationships. And keep them at a little bit of an arm's distance sometimes. You have to gauge that yourself, or maybe talk to someone to figure out what to gauge. So number 12, how do I handle loneliness without going back to old habits? We're looking at the last couple of questions, maybe similar in some way. Talking, engaging, going to meetup.com, creating new communities, creating new groups, going to AA, CA, NA, these groups are fantastic. Download an app, get into a school community, get into a Discord, right? These are great ways for you to to handle your loneliness that you might experience when you're on your recovery journey. There's a lot of positive things. It doesn't all have to be misery and loneliness, because loneliness is actually for old people. You don't see them all addicted to cocaine, do you? You know. All right, what's next? What are the biggest relapse triggers I should watch out for? Stats are about 85% of people are relapsing after or before 1 year, 50% over 3 months. Stats are crazy in terms of relapsing. First of all, relapsing isn't a failure. Relapsing is part of recovery. It took me 3 relapses on my recovery journey to get into a place where I was, to get me into a place where I actually succeeded. So it took me about 3 relapses to get into that. So what are the biggest relapse triggers? Getting text messages on a Friday, feeling lonely on a Friday, and you think that, I need a drink tonight. Having a stressful week is another one. Your best friend's inviting you out. The text message from a dealer that's coming in. Boredom is a trigger. These are not feeling like you have nothing to do, feeling disempowered, as in like you're not in control of the things, and there's nothing going for you. Feeling regret, feeling guilt. These are all triggers that you are likely and could face. So watch out for those. Note those down. What number 13 there? Unlucky for some. What are the biggest relapse triggers for people to watch out for? All right, number 14. What's the difference between a lapse and a relapse? I'm actually not sure, so I'm going to skip that one on some way. A lapse. I think they're like, to me they're the same. I don't understand. I've had a lapse and I've had a relapse. Number 15. How do I come back after a relapse without going on a bender? Well, that doesn't make any sense. How do you come back on a relapse without going on a bender? Relapses took me 3 times on my recovery journey, like I mentioned, till I got actual change. I said 1,000 times I'm going to stop, but it took me 3 times when I was actually an addict to when I was actually in help to actually change from that. So, what's the question again? How do I come back from a relapse without going on a bender? How do I come back after a relapse? Relapsing are part of the game, unfortunately. How you come back from that, getting into therapy, going into accountability groups, starting with your sponsor again in AA, going back to CA, starting the 12 steps if you wanted to start the 12 steps. How do you come back from a relapse? It's not the end of the world. It happens. It's likely to happen. Okay, so don't worry if it does happen, but don't go, all right, well, it's fine. If relapsing is supposed to happen, then it's okay if I relapse all the time. It's not okay if you relapse all the time. All right, how do I forgive myself for when I've hurt people? How do you forgive yourself? Forgiveness is a beautiful sentence. There's an old saying about resentment. Resentment is, I think everyone knows the sentence around fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So fail to prepare, prepare to fail. But when it comes to resentment and / forgiveness, I can't believe not a lot of people know that one. And it's this: resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So how do you forgive myself when I've hurt people? Forgiveness for yourself is internally in your mind very healthy, and externally that person or that image of that person in your mind very healthy. Forgiveness is one of the best skills, tools, techniques, strategies that you can do. So how do you forgive? Well, get a picture of that person in your mind, and I like this 4-step mantra that I've heard a long time ago. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. It's very useful. And keep thinking of the person, get the image of that person in your mind, and say this mantra to them over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's a beautiful way. It's a beautiful way to connect with it's a beautiful way to connect and be at peace. Be at peace with forgiveness. Forgiveness is such a valuable skill for someone to have. All right, what's next? How do I apologize properly without making it about me? That's a funny one. Why is that a funny one? Because like, how do you apologize in a relationship? Just in a relationship, don't mind addiction. How do you apologize in a relationship when it's not about you? Right? Like, how do you apologize in a relationship? How do you apologize without making it about you? I've had a time where my auntie paid for my insurance as an addict. As an addict, my auntie paid all of my car insurance one time because I was in debt to dealers. Because I was depressed. Because I was down. So I needed my auntie, and my auntie helped me out massively. So in terms of apologizing, or in terms of apologizing, I think the best apology is you changing. The best apology is you getting into a place where addiction isn't running your life anymore. The best apology is you to become the role model or the leader that you said you were going to be. I think that's the best apology that you can say without saying it. All right, we got a couple more here. What's next? How do I build my reputation at work after addiction? It's a good one, because as I was an addict going through work, I sometimes used to sneak my drugs into work to give to use them myself. That was pretty crazy that I would do that. So how do you forgive yourself, or how do you rebuild your reputation at work? For me, at least I did, was just outwork the competition. That's what I did. I was out working in an airport job when I was sneaking drugs into the airport to work and use in the airport. I did it about 5 times, I think, maximum, and it really was. I could have been arrested, 4 years in jail, 8 years in jail, give or take, for sneaking the drugs. So how do you build your reputation? By being a good person, right? By being someone that's actively increasing and improving themselves. How do you build your reputation? It's very simple. I think very simple. Having a good reputation is about perception of yourself, because how you view yourself is how people treat you. And I know that's a very unconscious or woo-woo sentence, but if someone's walking down the road, they almost command respect, or they almost think about respect, and then you almost respect them in that way. You see someone that you don't really care about, and they just don't care about themselves, you're like, what the heck? It's called transference in psychology. All right. When is it safe to start dating in recovery? Well, when is it safe to get into a new relationship after a relationship? How long is a piece of string here? It definitely is concerning for me when I am an addiction therapist helping clients, and they go from like addiction, and then they're like jumping straight into Hinge, and they're jumping straight into Tinder, and then they're on a few dates. Why is it concerning? Because it's almost like they're replacing their addiction with some other thing. They've got cocaine, weed, alcohol, gambling, porn. All of these are yokes. What I mean, solutions. These are all solutions to a problem that they're having internally. So now they're going and they're replacing it with a person, and they're replacing the person is giving them the sense of dopamine, the sense of fulfillment, the sense of love, and the sense of a wholesome and lack of. They're getting away from the loneliness that they're actually escaping from with the substance. So how long early? I'd say wait until you're 6 months clean. That's what I'd go with. I'll just say that. That's not a legit timeline, but I'll just say 6 months. Go 6 months. All right. I think we're on the last one here, are we? Or at least 20. How do I handle sex? And I can't really see that. Intimacy or porn issues in recovery. So how do I handle sex, intimacy, or porn issues in recovery? Well, I was a porn addict, gambling addict, drug addict, alcoholic. You call me for all those things. And how do you deal with them? How do you handle? Well, going to get help. Going to get therapy again. It is very okay when it's okay. If you're using the porn multiple times a day, that's not good. We all know when someone takes cocaine, particularly men, they go onto the websites for multiple hours. They literally go onto this website. They start off on nice websites, then they go into this website, and then it goes dark, and it goes darker, and it goes darker, and then eventually they're at this because of the substance, right? It's disgusting. It's wild, but it's normal, unfortunately, for men that do that. I don't actually know about women, but when they're using the substance, they go onto these darker websites, particularly when we're answering this question number 20. How do I handle sex, intimacy, or porn issues on recovery? It's normal. It's not nice to admit every single one of those lads that are using the substance are going onto those dark websites or naughty websites. All right, but how do you handle it? Going to therapy, getting some help with it. Understanding what is healthy. What is healthy would be this element of like, are you using it 5 times a day? Because that's unhealthy. Are you using it once a year? Because that's healthy. Are you using it 2 times a year? Well, again, that's healthy. What's a healthy range? Honestly, it's up in the air. 2 to 3 times a month is considered healthy. 2 to 3 times a week is considered healthy. There is no exact ratio. What do you find is healthy? What do you perceive as healthy? Do you perceive using it once as unhealthy? Do you perceive using it once as cheating? So it's a subjective thing. How do you handle it is how do you feel about it, first of all. And if you feel about it that you're okay, literally okay, not just you're saying you're okay. If you literally think you're okay, well then you should be okay with that. All right. Now what I can do here is I can change over and I can go for another 20, I think, is it? Or not even 20. I can go for, let me see. I'll go for, give me 15 more. And then I'll shift over these questions, and then I'll wrap it up after 15 more questions. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat right there. That'd be fantastic to hear. All right, let me get this screenshotted, send it right over to my phone, and I'll upload it onto this. So yeah. If you want help with addiction, yeah, all right, fantastic, amazing, and we'll get stuck onto this next list of addiction questions. I like it. I like it. All right. Oh. Now, what's the next question here that we got? How do I tell the difference between a craving and a genuine need? Stress, hunger, sleep, connection. Well, I actually don't even really understand the question. It's not, how do I tell the difference between a craving and a genuine need? I don't think there is ever a genuine need. Are you serious? When it comes to this addiction recovery, I don't think there's a genuine need. I know every addict will say on a Friday, like, I need it, and they get 2 drinks into their drink, and they're like, I need it, I need it, oh my God, I'm gonna go wild, I'm gonna kill someone if I don't get it. It's just a ridiculous sentence that they say to themselves, and they need it. Then they convince themselves that they need it, and they need it, and they need it. But actually, they don't need it in any way, shape, or form, but because they've convinced themselves that they need it, they do need it. The only person that might need it is, again, benzodiazepines or alcohol, because there's serious consequences if they actually stop or go teetotal. Let me just adjust this a little bit. All right, what's number 2? What does emotional sobriety mean, and how do I build it? I would say I'm emotionally sober, and what I mean by that is that I'm over half a decade sober. I've got multiple years under my belt, and I don't have thoughts and philosophies and maybes and should I and will I or won't I, and I'm not thinking about urges, I'm not craving, I'm not saying I should, I will, I won't. I'm emotionally sober. Emotionally sober, building it with time, but very importantly, building it with perceptions, building it with philosophies, building it with thought processes, not just building it with time under your belt, because time isn't time is the healer of all wounds, but time doesn't change your addict mind if you don't change your addict mind. So what I mean by that, if you just think time's going to get you sober, well, you still might have a lot of associations towards the substance that you think you love it. Like you love it, you love it, you love it, you love it, you love it. But you're just getting time under your belt. The time under your belt doesn't change your mind. So you need to change your mind, and then the time also works with you. So if you got a load of, like I know a client that I had recently, and he's doing great. He's like 2 years sober, and he only came to me a couple of weeks ago. But he's 2 weeks sober. He's 2 years sober, and he misses the feeling. He misses going on the bender. He misses the substance. Now that's a problem. Why is it a problem? Because he still has associations that it's a good thing for him. He still thinks if he was sober, he could or he would like to do it. That's not good. So when it comes to emotional sobriety, time is going to be a healer, but you've got to shift your mindset on it. All right. So what's number 3? How do I handle celebrations, good news, without using it as an excuse to drink? I'll also say the opposite. How do I handle challenges, regrets, guilt, consequences, or trauma, or negative news without using it as an excuse to drink? How do you handle good situations? Well, I'm pretty sure you know over the past 50 times that you've used that once again, taking this substance is only going to make you worse at the end of the night. So for good news, imagine having good news and not needing to take it to the next level. How good is that? How great is it for you to win and then not lose everything the next day because you've lost it? How great is it just to accept what the good news is? How great is that? Well, there's a reframe that I hope that you can lean into a little bit more. All right. Well, and what bad news? Bad news is, how do you deal with that? It's not going to change, is it? If you take the substance, it's not going to change. It's only going to enhance it or make it worse. If you get bad news early in recovery, you're very likely to relapse. Unfortunately, it's very sad. Very sad. Very likely to relapse. But I will say that if you get bad news on recovery, early days you could be very susceptible to relapsing. Long term, you could be much stronger. The bad news that someone can get can vary. Call them big T's, big traumas, small T's, small traumas. Big T's, all family does. Plane crash, car crash, train, boat. Small T's, you stub your toe on the bed, or you have compounding effect of compounding. You're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Compounding effect of that as well. So bad news will be the instant boom, and then you think, I need to use the substance. And the reality is you don't need to use the substance at all. Yeah, you just think you do, or you think you, all right, you think you do, but you don't need to use it in any way, shape, or form. So handling bad news, it's never ever going to be an excuse for you to drink. Reach out to a friend, go with a partner, go for a different escape, choose a different method, maybe even write down 5 to 10 ways that you're going to cope if some bad news happens. That would be a solid idea for someone to do. Number 4, what do I do when I miss the chaos or excitement of the old life? Ah, you think you're Al Pacino, do you? You think you're Miami Vice 1980s. Is that what it is when it comes to this substance? You think that, I want to use. That's the question here. What do you do when you miss the chaos? I'd ask you directly in your face in that moment, and maybe you should walk to the mirror. Do you really miss the chaos? Do you really miss the substance that's filled with rat poison, concrete mix, ammonia, petrol, and it's getting shipped into the country through people's you know what, and it's getting mixed up with you don't know what? Do you really miss the chaos? Do you really miss getting up at 3 p.m. in the afternoon and going to bed at 7 a.m. in the morning? Do you really miss the chaos? That's what I would ask you if I was to sit there right in front of your face and I was to ask you that question when it comes to recovery. Do you really miss the chaos? And that little check, that little reality, if you dig yourself in deeper in a hole, I can't help you. It would sound like a depressed person. Like it's like nothing matters, and then nothing matters, and then nothing matters, and then it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter. Like if you say this is what you can do, this is what you should do, this is how you change it, it doesn't matter. Well then they're just digging themselves deeper into a grave. It can do it and it will work. So if you miss the chaos, and I say, do you really miss the chaos based off what I just said? You know, the reality is they probably don't. They probably don't, and they shouldn't have. How do I deal with resentment towards people who can drink normally? Well, number 4, 6 is it? No, number 5. How do I deal with the resentment toward people who can drink normally? First of all, you can drink normally. Even alcoholics can drink normally. It's a strong sentence. I'm not advising you to go do it because your mindset might be so strongly against it or strongly in doubt. You might be in so much doubt that, yeah, you're very likely to go wild. So how do you resent people who can drink normally? I don't think, if we're talking about resentment, I don't think that's the top 10 most resentment things that you can have. That's my perception of that. Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the person to die. Let them be. Let them do. Let them go on. Go about their lives. You know, it's only resentment to someone else who's drinking normally. It sounds to me like you're just missing drinking alcohol. If you really want to drink alcohol, you can do it in a responsible way. But you have to have a good plan, and you have to go to a therapist or couch or AA sponsor to help you do that. An AA, they won't give you an AA sponsor that will help you drink, by the way, because it's completely teetotal. You can get into healthy drinking habits. All right, number 6. How do I set boundaries with family who doesn't understand recovery? For me, I just remove myself from the situation. I'm not going to deal with you if you think it's like interesting because I've family members that still use. I've also dealt with clients that have family members that are in active addiction and they're almost their best friends as well, and it's quite complicated when it comes to that. How do you set boundaries? Letting them know that you're being sober and what your goals are, and that also adds extra accountability for you. All right. Number 7, what should I do if my partner still drinks or uses? It's not so good if they use. Drinking is okay. I know that from working with clients. Using is not okay. If they are using Coke, for example, and you stopping using Coke, the very likelihood that you going back on it in the future is very high, and I'm so sorry to say that. Them drinking alcohol and you not drinking alcohol doesn't have so much of an effect in terms of you going back on alcohol, because you are creating a new life. You are creating a different reality. So, yeah, but alcohol is what should you do if your partner still drinks? It's okay. It's okay if your partner still drinks. It's not okay if your partner still uses. So you have to get both on board with that. All right. Honestly, give yourself the best chance of success. Both of you stop. All right. We've got 8 more. How do I manage money in recovery after years of bad spending? I'll tell you an old story when it comes to addiction and recovery. I'll tell you a story. I also would have mentioned this on one of my YouTube videos. Actually, it's on the study video. It's about 3 weeks ago. The study video of from this date released. It's the study video of how much I studied 400 people around their addiction habits, how much they spent on their addiction, how much years they were addicted, and at the end of it, I gave a story. And the story was particularly around this accountant that walks into a bar. The accountant walks into the bar, and she says to an old man, "How much do you spend on alcohol, and how much do you spend on smoking per day?" And the guy says, "I spend around €50 a day on drink. I spend around €16 a day on smokes. €65. That's around like 50 euro a day, €50 a day on drink, and €50 and what was it, €50 a day on drink, and then like €16 a day on smoking. So it's literally a ungodly amount of money per week per year. It is around 20 grand a year. So 20 grand a year, 20 grand a year on drinking and smoking. And just to reconnect, how do I manage my money in recovery? That's the old question here. It's 20 grand a year he's spending on alcohol, he's spending on drink and smokes. And the accountant asks, "Well, Chase, if you spend 20 grand a year, you know in 10 years you'd be able to have a Ferrari or a Lamborghini." And he goes, "That's 200 grand if you saved all that money." He said, if you didn't drink, if you were sober, if you were teetotal, if you were sober, you could buy a Ferrari. And the girl goes, "Oh," the guy goes, "Really? I could buy a Ferrari in 10 years if I didn't drink alcohol." And he goes, "Do you not drink alcohol, or do you drink alcohol?" And she says, "No, I don't drink alcohol at all. No, not a chance." And he goes, "Well, where's your Ferrari?" It's basically a fool's toll, or it's basically lifestyle inflation. It's basically like, how do you manage your money in recovery? You think that you're going to be able to, there's lifestyle inflation. How do you manage your money in recovery? By goodness, after years of bad spending, get a financial advisor. Get on the $1, every dollar counts budget from Dave Ramsey. Follow some sort of budgeting steps. These are, you've got to delve into something. Delve into some game that is real. Learn financial literacy skills. Learn to invest. You should definitely be investing your money after years of recovery. The average addict on cocaine is spending €281 per week. That is absolute fact. That from a study I've ran, there's been 400 people in the study. €281 is the average amount of money that they would be spending per week on a substance. That's over $300. All right, number 9. How do I rebuild my confidence when I've lost time, opportunities, and friendships? Do the power pose. Power pose. Stand like Spider-Man and Superman, should I say. That increases your cortisol, decrease your cortisol, increase your testosterone. It's a fantastic way for you to rebuild your confidence. Also, checking small wins. Small wins, small wins, small wins. Registering them. Imagine I was an anxious person. If I was an anxious person and I then went and asked the waiter for the check, right? Because I thought this was a good thing for me to do, and I was palms are sweaty, and I think, oh my god, I gotta ask him for a check. I go ask for a check, and I'm an anxious person. I've asked for a check, and I've done it. I've asked for the check, and that's great. Now my anxious mind doesn't register that. My anxious mind just registers the fact that I was anxious before I did it. So what I'm saying is register the wins. Start collecting your wins as a way to rebuild your confidence. When you look at the question, how do I rebuild my confidence when I've lost time, opportunities, or friendships in recovery or in the usage? Register the wins. Take and remember the wins rather than remember the feeling that you had before and the doubt you had. Start registering the wins. The opportunities, you will get presented with opportunities again in the future, and you're more likely to take them and more likely to succeed when you're sober. Friendships, you've lost some good friends. I've lost some good friends in my recovery. All right, number 10. How do I handle urges that come from success? Ego, reward, I've earned it. How do I handle urges that come from success? Number 10. How do I handle urges that come from success? This was an interesting one for me because I'm not sure if I had too much urges when it came from success. I definitely would have, I believe, like getting a pay increase, getting a gift card, getting something. So that would have been a way for me to urges from success. How do you handle urges from success? You don't earn it. You have not earned it, right? There's no way in shape or form you've earned to go and use and lose your sense of mind. You haven't earned you're using a substance. The substance is going to hurt you, impact you. It's poison. So there's no chance that you earn the substance at all. All right, let's go on to number 11. How do you handle urges? Again, urge surfing. I didn't really answer that question. How do you handle urges? Urge surfing. Urge surfing. You go into bulletproofrecovery.ie and you can download an urge surfing template. There's tons and tons of resources when it comes to urge surfing. If you're having urges a lot, download urge surfing or download the Bulletproof Recovery app. You can literally download it on the App Store right this second. Bulletproof Recovery. Urge surfing gives you tons of templates, tons of resources, tons of questions that can help get you through urges if you're struggling with them. What does number 11, and there's five more. All right, what does a healthy support system look like if I don't like groups? So that's, you don't like AA, you don't like NACA, you don't like going to focus groups, you don't like going to men's sheds, you don't like these types of things. All right, so what do we do in a healthy sport? What does a healthy sport system look like? A healthy sport system looks like, and this is, by the way, two people, one person bad likelihood, one person not likely to succeed in recovery, one person likely to succeed in recovery, one person not likely to succeed in recovery. They don't have support systems, they don't have anything to do on the weekends, they're not confident, they don't have a lot of money, and also they don't have any ambition going on these things. That's a person who's unlikely to recover on recovery. A person who's likely to recover on recovery is someone that has got a positive support system. And what does a positive support system look like? That means a friend, family, partner, and if I dare say mentor / coach, or someone like a role that's outside, friend or family member, right? It is a really useful person that you'll have. So healthy sports system looks like good hobbies, good activities, good routines, good habits, right? That's a healthy support system around you. Number 12, how do I stop swapping one addiction for another? So food for nicotine, nicotine for work, work for gym, gym for relationships. How do you stop swapping one addiction for another? I don't know. Say that with a flamboyant, happy, joyous sentence, because do you ever stop swapping your addictions? I'm not sure. For me, could be addicted to the gym, could be addicted to attention, could be addicted to jiu-jitsu, could be addicted to food. Are we all addicted to oxygen? Yes. So how do I stop swapping one addiction for another? I would say the better question is, how do you stop swapping negative addictions for another? Example being food, nicotine, work, gym. I think gym is a healthy addiction. I think work can be a healthy addiction if it's not too much and not ruining relationships. Food can be a healthy coping mechanism, but not maybe a healthy addiction. Nicotine, obviously not a healthy addiction. So how do you stop swapping them? Get to the root cause of what's causing your addiction. The addiction is a solution. Nicotine is a solution. Porn is a solution. Gambling is a solution. Coke is a solution. Alcohol is a solution. They're terrible solutions. So getting to the root cause of what's driving those addictions is going to stop you from bouncing from addiction to addiction. Number 13, when should I tell people I'm in recovery, and what do I say? This is an interesting question. Some people don't tell friends early in recovery. Like gambling addict I had recently as a client, he didn't want to tell his friend just yet. Even though his friend has been through recovery, was an ex-gambling addict, and now he's sober or not using alcohol, not using the behavior anymore, gambling, for years, he didn't want to tell his friend. Why didn't he want to tell his friend? Because there was a stigma attached to it, there was shame attached to it, there was this element of like, if I tell him, then what is he going to say, and then he's going to always keep checking on me, always like, oh, where am I, all of this type of stuff. So there is really a nice time to do it. Maybe it's not on day one. So when is it when you feel confident enough? Well, you feel like you can string a few sentences together without feeling like you're going to get deflated, or you're going to be attacked, or something's going to happen. All right. If you're watching this, please give a like on the stream. I'd really appreciate that. I've got 2 more questions after this. When do you tell someone? And then what do you say? So the other part of that question is, what do you say for number 13? You practice what you're going to say, like just like a best man speech, just like a story you want to learn. Practicing what you're going to say is actually a useful thing for you to do. All right, two more. How do I deal with shame memories that pop up? This is called the shame shivers in recovery. How do you deal with shame memories that pop up randomly? It's called shame shivers. They pop up and they just give you like, oh my God. This is going to happen very much early on recovery, and it might happen for the rest of your life with different things, but it is going to happen early in recovery. How do you deal with them? I like to detach, which is not like a really negative thing. Detach is this idea of where you step back from your thought, you observe the memory. How do you deal with the shame shivers, the shame memories that come up in recovery? Look at them as like a car coming into your life, right? A car coming in and drives past their thoughts. You're the observer standing on the sidewalk. You're watching the thoughts go by. That image is a passing by image. Don't jump into the image and get caught up and then dance and go crazy and run wild. Try detach. Try disassociate positively, not negatively. Don't disassociate as where you're like you're shutting down and you're going offline and you can't speak and that's negatively disassociating. Disassociate and remember that's not you. You AA has a quote. You're not you. You're not you when you're hungry. That's a Snickers ad. The AA has a quote. You're in your addiction. You're not responsible for your actions, but after your addiction, you are responsible for your actions. So those same memories will keep coming up. All right, early in recovery, early, but you can deal with them. You can process them much healthier. All right, last question. How do I maintain recovery when life hits hard? Grief, breakup, conflict, job stress, and more and more. Uh, how do you maintain recovery when life hits hard? Life's gonna be hard, right? Life's gonna be hard, whatever that means to you. One thing I can say without doubt that has helped me and will help me going forward is absolute commitment. Absolute commitment. You might not be so committed on the idea like alcohol never, forever. Like not for, like you might be committed on alcohol for 3 years. Get a timeline in your mind: 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But when it comes to, for me, Coke, never. There's a commitment there. There's absolute fact that that's not going to happen. So, how do you maintain recovery when life hits hard? It's going to hit hard. How can you best prepare yourself? Commitment is 100% a fact that you need to have on that agenda. Timeline is a fantastic idea to set for some things like alcohol or for um, like lower forms of addiction like coffee or something, right? There's just setting a timeline or food, setting realizing also your patterns as well. Like for example, if it's food, someone is someone's someone might always go to the same food if they're feeling like a lot of stress or job stress or they're feeling a lot of trauma or trials or tribulations. They might go straight back to the food. Notice your patterns. Notice what you go to first. Notice how you process things. And I'd lastly say on that, how do you maintain recovery when life hits hard? Go get help. Every car in Ireland and UK needs an MOT. An MOT is simply something where it gets like a checkup. The car gets a checkup. So, with those being said, I'm gonna love you, leave you. There was about 30 questions done. In fact, how much was it? It was 35 questions. Right, 35 questions in 48 minutes for people that are struggling with addiction. And yeah, if you have any questions next time, drop them in the comments. I'll hopefully do another live similar with this as well. Leave a like on the video, hit the subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you in the next time. If you've just seen me as I'm about to log off, well, just check out my channel. Maybe you're struggling with addiction and I want to help you. With that being said, good night, God bless, or good morning wherever you are in the world. Now, how do I stop the L stream here? I'll just tap this button, I believe. All right, see you later.